Hi, Dr. John Sanders with Voyage Clinics Podcast. I'm a family doc, and we're just bringing knowledge and wisdom to the community. Today, Jarom Ball joins me. He's a marriage and family therapist, and I'm excited about our discussion. Probably at least 1 to 2, every like 2 to 3 of our podcasts. Okay, 1 out of every 3 to 4 podcasts, somewhere in that ballpark, has to do with emotional intelligence and mental wellness. Yeah. I'm passionate about it. I think it's so important to our overall health and wellness. As a family doc, I like to care for people and help them achieve optimal wellness and prevention and all things in life. And the mental space is just so important. So, Jarom, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate this. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, I'm a marriage and family therapist. I've been working with clients for 13, going on 14 years. I love it. I get to have the kind of job that like I would totally do for free if I could. How cool is that?
That is so cool. Where are you from?
I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Let's go, New Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay.
So which is a trippy place. Albuquerque is such a trippy place. One of my favorite things to tell people about New Mexico is that we simultaneously have one of the lowest education rates in the entire country, but we also have the highest per capita PhDs in the entire country. Yeah.
Oh, is that because of that?
It's trippy, dude.
It's because of that one facility thing.
It's because both Los Alamos National Labs and Sandia National Labs are both there.
Okay.
Which is basically like 35,000 people campuses, and most of them have PhDs.
Yeah.
So it's wild.
That's wild.
And so there are these crazy government jobs there. My dad, is a physicist. He worked for the government, and he literally has to get permission from the FBI and CIA to leave the country and stuff.
He's a physicist.
Yeah. Wow. Not because he did anything wrong, but because of the information that he has, they have to kind of check out the place.
I get it. Yeah.
And make sure that it's safe enough for him to go.
Wow.
And so yeah, it was a weird thing growing up there, especially, growing up LDS, and most members of the church, very educated,
Yeah.
So lots of really crazy government jobs.
Yeah.
One of my best friends showed up. We were sophomores in high school, and he's like, dude, my dad was in the CIA this whole time.
I had no idea.
He had no idea. The only person that knew was his wife.
That's wild. Yeah. That's wild.
So he retired in 95. And so, anyway.
So undergrad at BYU.
Came here to go to BYU, and I'm just still here.
Cool.
And everything.
What was your undergrad in?
It was exercise science. I was actually planning on being a physical therapist.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to do that. I actually wanted to work with people with disabilities. Physical disabilities. Didn't work out. Life kind of happened.
Sure.
And then, just along the way, I realized that this was something that I was really good at.
Cool.
Talking to people,
What made you pivot toward mental health? And then you did your master's in marriage and family therapy.
That's correct. That's correct. It's a long story. It's a really long and drawn out story, but but ultimately I was kind of under employed. I was working just line staff at a rehab facility, and I pretty quickly realized that everybody was coming to me about their crap.
Yeah.
All the clients, they would flock to me and request time with me and everything. And some of the therapists started kind of noticing and started talking to me about it a little bit. And I was like, oh, maybe I've got something here. And so I just decided to go back to school.
I'm hearing that people feel safe around you, and they feel like they can unpack with you.
Yeah.
And that's pretty special.
It is.
That's pretty special.
I feel so honored. And on some level I get it, because I'm very intentional about it. I'm very purposeful about handling my crap so that it is safe for people to open up to me. But at the same time, it's just kind of this natural thing. I realize now that I've always been everybody's therapist.
Man, I want to talk a little bit about that sacred space of trust and unpacking with folks. And I think just being able to be a good friend, you hope that you have a good friend that you can unpack with. I think it's so special to really be able to have trust enough to really people share things without reservation, without fear of judgment. And it's a gift, I think, when people do that. It's like a special gift.
It really is. It really is. And it's such a sacred opportunity, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just such a firm believer. I'm just an eternal optimist. Like, you cannot convince me that something bad happening isn't going to lead to something good. Like, bad things happen so that good things can come after. Like, for real, it clears out the bad stuff. It clears out the crap so that you can actually have the good. And you don't really know what the good is that's coming, right? But you have to have the faith that is there. And when you feel supported, you can like walk through the badness. You can walk through the darkness. If you feel seen, if you feel supported, if you feel some kind of external, confidence, even if you don't have that confidence.
Yeah.
I saw this really cool thing last year. I was watching a University of Utah football game. They had a true freshman quarterback playing. His name is Isaac Wilson. And I mean, the stadium was not, it was at Utah, and they were just not happy with him. They were letting him have it. They were booing him like crazy. And I was just like, this kid's 18 years old.
Booing your own quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, it's sports, right? It's sports. But I remember like being like blown away. Like how is this 18-year-old strong enough to even come back out on the field? I would be like trying to bury myself under the field. I'd rather run away from the stadium. I'd rather never come out of the locker room again than have 50,000 people boo me, right? Over something that's that important to me. But then they just showed a close up, and I was really thinking about it. I was like trying to fathom how you could have that kind of mindset. But then they showed a close up of him on the sideline, and all the guys, they were patting him on the back, and just like cheering him on. And I was like, oh, that's how. That kind of support, you can do anything. Like, you can have 50,000 people booing you, and you can go back out on the field if you just have that circle of support around you,
My mind is kind of blown at how 50,000 people could boo an 18-year-old.
Well, I get it.
Like that is,
but that's just human nature. That's just human nature.
I think it's specific to. I've seen well, maybe this is too judgmental, but there's a emotional shallowness to that way of being and way of thinking, and I don't know that it's tremendously healthy. And
no,
it might be prolific in this neck of the woods more than other necks of the woods, but it's a bum deal. And you even BYU fans are like, they're like the best of fans and the worst of fans.
Oh, it's all fans are the best and the worst.
You're just like
all at the same time.
Can we just not show up and just cheer for like even a losing situation? Like, why do we
could have a whole podcast series about my thoughts about sports. Actually, I'm convinced that sports are the safest place for disconnect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It is the healthy place for disconnect, where I get to have my team and you get to have your team, and we can do it in a healthy way. But that's beside the point.
Yeah. There's a lot of good things too. Yeah,
well, there are. No, like I'm actually writing a book about healthy masculinity.
Oh,
and
cool.
I'm going to talk a lot about sports and how a lot of healthy masculinity, sports allows a lot of healthy masculinity to be expressed, but obviously unhealthy masculinity comes out too, right?
Yeah.
With all of it. So, but anyway, my whole point is when you have somebody when you have a solid ring corner, right? When you've got that team of 3 or 4 people in your corner, like you can walk through hell. And like one of my favorite things about myself is that I'm just the biggest cheerleader. I'm just like such a fan of people walking through hell. That sounds weird, but like you have to walk through hell to be able to get to heaven.
You're the teammate who walked up to that 18-year-old and pat him on the shoulder pads and just said, "Good
exactly
job.
My point.
You're fine.
That's
man.
my point.
All this hell that's going around you, we got this.
You're good.
Yeah.
Keep moving. You got this."
I love 2 things about your journey and your kind of personality. One is the eternal optimism, and I guess I'm in that same camp.
You
Like,
definitely are. Like, the first time I met you, do you remember what I said the first time I met you?
No.
I said, you have the kindest eyes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's true. You do. You have such kind eyes. Like, it's obvious that you are a good teammate. Yeah.
That's cool. But that eternal optimism, I think, is such a healthy way of seeing the world, viewing the world, and navigating the world. Because the world delivers some heavy stuff and some beautiful stuff and some lovely stuff and some really hard things. And to lean into that eternal optimism, I think is so cool.
Yeah.
And then I love the connection and friendship and being safe to unpack with, and then being the cheerleader. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Like, what a cool job. What a freaking cool job I get. Like, I get to like cheer people as they finally do the crap that's holding them back. As they finally take care of it.
Now, Jarom, you kind of specialize in kind of the trauma space.
I do. Yeah.
And then tell us about some like additional specialty training and things that you've
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, my specialties, I guess I would consider my specialties are trauma, especially early childhood trauma, which is just so hard to work through.
Tender.
I mean, it's, again, we can do a whole podcast series about just it and why it's so complicated. Yeah, so I use a modality called EMDR, but I mostly use something called internal family systems, which is internal parts work, right? Which have you ever seen Inside Out?
Yeah.
It's kind of like doing therapy with individual parts like that.
Oh,
it's rad.
That's
so cool. It's such a cool thing.
What is it called, the modality?
Internal family systems.
Internal family
Yeah,
systems.
it sounds like it's a family therapy approach, but no, it's an internal parts approach.
Huh.
Right.
Okay.
And the thing that I love about that, so I use some EMDR principles. EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's just a way of processing trauma.
I'm familiar with it. I'm vaguely, but yeah.
Yeah. So there's something called bilateral stimulation. That's the eyes going back and forth, right? And so I use that, but with internal family systems instead of EMDR. And it really allows us to get to some cool places inside of people.
What is it about that? Like, even just the EMDR seems voodoo magic-y to me. Like, but it works. It's like
weird.
It totally
no,
works.
It's weird. No, everybody acknowledges that it's super weird.
What do you mean I'm moving my eyes back and forth and tap my face and like reprocessing
like
stuff?
We're literally hacking these weird functions within the body, right? Our best understanding, like maybe they've done more research about it that I haven't looked at in the last few years, but like our best understanding of it is literally just hacking the same thing that REM sleep does.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Because REM sleep.
Taking long-term memories out and putting them back into short-term memory so that we can work with them.
Okay.
Right. That's basically what it is.
Okay.
Right. But it's also kind of, I mean, most therapists would be like shocked and horrified that I say this, but it basically puts you into hypnosis.
Sure.
It's a trance-like state.
Yeah. Because you got to go to the past, pull it into the present, and then
well, you have to be able to reach it.
kick it around.
Yeah, you have to be able to reach it, right? And that's the hard part. And my issue with EMDRs is kind of a, bust down the door and force the memory out. And it's just kind of a wild ride. So I had some really horrific things happen to me when I was a child, and I went through a lot of EMDR therapy, and I barely survived. It was brutal. I barely survived the treatment. It was brutal. But the beautiful thing about internal family systems and accounting for the different parts is that it's much more kind of collaborative. You're almost asking permission to go to the memory, to go to the traumatized inner child and work with them. And it just calms the whole system, and it's such a cool thing.
It sounds more gentle.
It is.
Is that a fair word?
It is more gentle.
I had a patient who was in a treatment center for some horrific childhood trauma, and she was doing some EMDR therapy, and I would check on her, few times a week and just pop in and say hi and support her. And she was just struggling, really, really struggling. Yeah. And I remember going in one time after an EMDR session, and she had goosebumps all over her whole body. Her sympathetics were pegged to the max, and she was shaking. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Yeah. And she just said, I need to be safe. And I'm like, you are safe with me. And I was able to give her some comfort and gave her a hug, and we talked it through, but it was very triggering for her, the EMDR itself. Oh, yeah. No, and EMDR, I didn't realize it could be so intense.
EMDR is a wild ride. Look, it's generally pretty effective. Assuming the person actually knows what they're doing. The therapist has really actually done the training and everything. It's generally pretty effective. But like it comes at such a cost. Like when I used to just do EMDR before I learned about internal family systems, like I would tell my clients, I'd be like, hey, you're in for a wild ride. The worst thing about trauma treatment is surviving trauma treatment. That's literally what I would tell people, because I didn't have any better tools. I didn't know a better way. Again, that's the way I did it with my trauma. And it worked, but jeez, it was
the internal family systems. I want to better understand, and I also want for our listeners, I want them to understand it as well. Do you see a lot of EMDR practitioner therapists leveraging similar tools like the internal family systems? Because you've hybridized it. You've found like these tools work here, but it's traumatizing even just to get there. Yeah. But these tools are a little bit more gentle. So you've kind of like figured out, well, this is a more gentle way.
Yeah. So I'm gonna rely on you to kind of guide me here a little bit, because we can get in the weeds a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, not the weeds that you can get into in terms of sciencey stuff, but in terms of like actually what's happening, we can get in the weeds a little bit. So guide me away from something that feels like it's not working.
Okay.
So. And interestingly enough, and let me just put a pin in this right now. Like this is where psychedelic-assisted therapy comes into play. But I'll come back to that.
I wanted to come back to some ketamine too, because we've leveraged ketamine in helping people. And after a ketamine session, they find that their trauma therapy, whether they're doing EMDR or something else, is way more effective.
Oh, it is.
And I'd love to speak to that.
It's a game changer.
You have some specific additional training in the psychedelic.
I do. Yeah. So yeah, I'm certified in psychedelic-assisted therapy through integrative psych. Oh my gosh. Integrative Psychiatry Institute. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Out of Colorado.
Okay.
It was an 11-month course.
Psilocybin and ketamine. It's
psilocybin, ketamine, and MDMA actually.
MDMA. Okay.
So it's MAPS certified, if you know what MAPS is.
Okay.
Anyway, so I actually learned about, I had heard about internal family systems, but I actually really learned about internal family systems at a psychedelic-assisted therapy conference. It was Bessel van der Kolk and Gabor Mate and another giant in the field of ketamine-assisted therapy, but then a therapist named Dick Schwartz. He's the person that came up with IFS.
Dick Schwartz is a funny name.
It is a funny name.
I mean, Spaceballs just comes to mind.
Oh my God.
Dick Schwartz.
So
I see your Schwartz is bigger than mine. That's funny.
I've always thought that.
You can cut that from the... You can cut that. Sorry.
I love it so much.
Totally digress.
I love it so much. Anyway, and the reason why it was being presented there is, so basically the idea behind IFS is that we have protective parts and we have exiled parts, right? We have parts of us that are managerial, that take care, that are proactive in life and making sure that we keep our jobs and we take care of our families and all that kind of stuff. And those are really protective parts, right? And then we have these other parts that are much more like firefighters, and they're there to in the extreme emergencies, right? And believe it or not, some of those protective parts are like addictions and things like that, right? They really are protective parts, because lots of times the addiction happens so that you don't go somewhere deeper and darker and scarier, right? That's how the addiction serves somebody. Right? Well, all of those protective parts are there to protect us from what are called exiled parts. Exiled parts are traumatized parts, whether it's big T trauma or little T trauma. They're things that happen to us where we can't make sense of it. We can't.
Is that big T?
Work with it.
Is that what you're
generally big T?
Yeah.
Trauma.
Yeah. Big stuff.
Yeah. Big T, like what happened to me.
Yeah.
That was it's pretty bad sexual trauma as a child. Anyway, so these exiled parts get locked away. This is very metaphorical, right? They basically get locked away because we don't know how to hold that pain. We don't know what to do with it, especially as children, right? And so it just kind of gets locked away.
Where do I put that? I can't put that here or here in a way that it fits in a reasonable way without disrupting my whole life.
Exactly.
So I'm going to just squirrel it away in this spot. I'm not sure what to do with box.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so really what we're dealing with is the protective parts. How do we actually gain access to the traumatized parts,
those boxes?
Right? How do we actually gain access to them when the protective parts, their whole job is to keep us away from them?
Right.
Keep them locked away and keep us functioning.
Yeah.
Right. And basically, psychedelics is the best way to get protectors to stand down. Through psychedelics make it so that those protectors just go offline and we can actually gain access to the exiled, traumatized parts.
The walls on the boxes are broken down.
Exactly. Yes.
I often tell folks we've been utilizing ketamine in the clinic to help people process trauma, depression, anxiety.
I just sent somebody to you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, cool. But it's been super cool. And one of the things we talk to them about is a sense of vulnerability that will happen 2 and 3 and 4 days after, and to work with their therapist in those states because they will be able to gain access to some spaces that they may not have before, 100%. But just to be ready for that and be okay with that. Yeah. So just that preparation emotionally and mentally for that, I think is a big part of in my clinic, we kind of talk them through that.
No, it's huge. And it's actually a really missing part with a lot of ketamine clinics.
Oh, they might just turn them on, turn them off. See you later. Good luck.
It's a miracle drug. You're good.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've been very disappointed with the way ketamine has been rolled out.
I saw some of that, and that's why I brought it in-house, frankly, was because I wanted to do it right and collaborate with folks like you. And
well, because, I mean, truth be told, like, without a lot of integration work, ketamine, the research on ketamine isn't that great, actually. You know, it's great for 3 months, but then it takes a nosedive after that, right? And so when patients are being taught how to do it right in terms of preparation, set and setting, right? Creating the right mindset, creating the right setting, but then also following it up with really robust integration work. What that does is it takes that 3 months and it just allows it to grow.
Can we speak to mindset and setting for a minute?
Yeah.
Because we work hard on that in my clinic, but I want to hear your insights and how we might do better. But that's kind of neat. Speak to it.
Yeah, and this was a big thing in my program, and the more that I've worked with psychedelics and have a sense of what's happening and how it's happening and why it's happening, I am utterly convinced that a bad trip cannot happen for somebody that's prepared. It does not happen. You can go to the same depth of darkness and fear and hardship within the medicine, within the experience. But if you are prepared, you know what you're getting into, right? And you're not scared of that moment. You, just like me with my eternal optimism, you know that, okay, this is pulling me through something, right? And so like when you prepare properly, like you don't have to be afraid of what comes. It might be scary, it might be hard, but what's coming is exactly what you need. And you like go in with that confidence, and it's a game changer.
It's not different than children. Like I often give parents some children stuff as a family doc, and we talk about children stuff. And if you take a kid and they're doing a thing and you just pick them up and put them in the car, they're probably going to have a tantrum. Yes. They're going to melt down. It's going to be a mess.
Yes.
But if you're like, hey, Johnny, in 2 minutes, we're going to get up. We're going to go to the car. It's going to be time to go.
Absolutely.
And I just want to give you a heads up, and that's going to happen.
Yep.
And then when you go to do that, they're like, oh, it's time. I'm already prepped for it. It's no different than a toddler.
You are absolutely right.
We're just a bunch of toddlers.
No, we really are. Well, especially in that state.
Yeah.
Especially in that state.
Yeah.
Like, because like in that state, we don't know which way is up and which way is down. Right? Like it is completely disorienting. And it's super easy to get fearful when you're completely disoriented like that.
Yeah.
Right? But if you can go into it knowing, okay, I know I'm not going to know which way is up and which way is down, right? I mean, ketamine is a little bit different. It's not as intense of an experience, and so, but I mean, it is intense, but it's quick, right? So you come out of it faster,
yeah.
Right? But
I like that, the preparation and then the mindset. So the steps in like preparing somebody, just kind of let them know what's going to happen.
What do you use for preparation? Do you talk about music that they're going to listen to?
For sure. We have music.
Bringing,
bring a blanket. Yep. We have a whole protocol.
A friend if
need a safe partner.
Loved one. Yeah.
And then during we say, we're going to do this session. How was the last one? How did it go? And then what's your mindset today? And what do you want to get out of this session?
Yeah.
And kind of discuss that. And they'll one gal, my favorite one, she was so cute. She's this mama, and she was processing with a therapist and stuff. And she says, I just want to stop being so mean to my kids. Yeah. And I'm like, that is such a good intention.
What a beautiful intention.
Let's stay with that. Here you go. Have a great journey and let's go.
Don't we want to just feed that intention? Don't we want to just like celebrate it and like, instead of like, because it's so easy to shame it, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to be like, but like that intention matters.
Yeah.
And if there's something that can break free of that rigid thought process, that rigid reactionary process that gets her to be so hard on our kids, and psychedelics have proven that they can do that. They create that neuroplasticity. They break you out of those rigid ruts.
The rigid ruts. Yeah. I want to speak to that. I call it being clenchy, when you're clenched down on a way of thinking. And you're just like, this is the way it has to be. And this is, you're clenched down. But I like the rigid rut. It's a better parable. What is that? How do they work as far as being able to come out of that rigid rut that is driving a behavior or a feeling or a thought process or a viewing of trauma? How does that work?
Well, it's really, it's complicated. It's really complicated, right? Because these rigid ruts that we develop happen over years and decades.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're deep-seated beliefs about oneself, the world, about God.
And it's not just beliefs, it's also experiences, right? So take my trauma, right? Like the way he covered his tracks is he told me that if my parents ever found out, they wouldn't love me. And you take a 5-year-old boy and you open a deep soul wound on that 5-year-old boy. And then you plant in that soul wound, your parents won't love you. Like, that does something to you.
Yeah.
Like, and I had no say in the way I interacted with that, right? Because I was 5.
Right.
Right? My parts, they locked it away, right? But the trauma was still in my body, right? And so, like, I grew up with this really angsty experience of feeling loved, right? Like I was always super angsty about whether or not I was loved, and makes sense, right? If anybody actually gets to know me, can they love me? Will they love me? That seed said, no, they won't.
Right.
Right. So what do? You hide.
Because you're unworthy of love, because you've
100%.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, it's not just, it's like dirty
Right.
reasons
Right.
why I'm unworthy.
Right.
And so, what happens over a lifetime with that deep seed planted in there, right, is I developed these automatic reactions to normal circumstances that weren't beneficial, right? Like even just this micro expression of my ex looking away from me would like devastate me. Like I can't even tell you what it would do to my body. Like any sort of sense of rejection, it would just devastate me.
Yeah.
Right. And it's hard to manage a marriage when she isn't going to be perfect.
And it's unintentional. It's not intentional.
No,
it is
not
super
at all.
not intentional.
She's rad. She's such a cool human being.
Yeah.
She's like just the best. But how do you actually manage a marriage when every little thing, any little thing can be not just a rejection, but like a rejection of your existence of whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Because I am so deeply unworthy. And so that just gets triggered and
that
triggered
rut
and triggered
is so deep,
triggered.
Yeah.
And so I've actually had to throw a lot of things at it. Like that EMDR didn't touch that part.
Yeah.
Of the trauma. It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't touch that part of the trauma. I've had to do a lot of other things for that. But psychedelics did help with that.
There's kind of a subconscious dialogue, and conscious or subconscious of this. You are not worthy of love, and you will always be rejected.
Yes.
And then when rejection, or even the fear or the seeming notion of rejection happens, it triggers all this cascade of.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and so, yeah, and I think that's a really important point here is that like it's not a conscious thing,
Right.
I mean, there is a conscious element to it, but that's 1%.
You can't just talk it through and then rework it.
Well, even just when it happens. When my body when that would happen to my body, like it wasn't like the thought was, she doesn't love me. That wasn't part of it.
Yeah.
That wasn't part of it. But my whole body was like on fire, like I'm not loved.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I mean. It's deeper than the frontal cortex. It's like
exactly.
deep in there.
Exactly.
And maybe that's
well, and that
with the physiology of the way like ketamine and psilocybin both work. Actually, they both create this spike in BDNF and mTOR and these neuroplastic initiators in our brain that create an ability to change the way that we think and believe about ourselves, about the world, and about that trauma. I think I was talking to a couple of psychology friends of mine, psychiatrists.
I love these.
Can I hold it? Yeah, take that. Some psychiatrist friends of mine, and they were saying there's therapy in just the disassociation that ketamine drives. It really unlocks that frontal cortex and just shuts it down. And so you're no longer trying to interpret or, figure out the world or the trauma or anything. It just kind of shuts it off for a bit. And I've had clients that come to me and say, Doc, it's so nice having that turned off, even for an hour.
Yes.
And then when it turns back on, there's something quieter about it. And I think that's rad. Just
it's amazing.
Just in their ability to hear and believe something different about themselves, about the world.
Well, and that's my point about integration. Why integration is so vitally important, and why I'm really discouraged with the way the medical establishment has used ketamine. Because when you're in that state after the medicine, that is when you get to start planting new seeds. After my trauma, he planted that seed.
Yeah.
Right. That's what was integrated into me after my trauma.
Yeah.
Right. And so what something like ketamine does is it gives you this window where you can start planting new seeds.
Yeah.
Right. And it's such a disservice to not plant seeds,
right.
To not plant seeds of positivity, to not plant seeds of love and forgiveness and acceptance and all of those things, but also to not use that open space to dig the weeds out. Right.
Yeah.
And that's where, really robust therapy can be really beneficial with psychedelic-assisted therapy. But again, it's not. It's so cost prohibitive to include therapy with something like ketamine that it's just not happening. And so what we need to come up with collaborations with people like me and people like you.
Yeah.
Right. Where, we can even like schedule, somebody's coming to get medicine from you at 11. I'm seeing that person at 12:30.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say the window, because I always was taught the window of opportunity is anywhere from a few hours after the session to a couple of days. Yeah. Then it kind of closes.
Absolutely. But I think the closer it is to the medicine session, the better.
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
Because the window is closing as time goes on.
Sure.
Right. It's not like it goes and then all of a sudden it closes.
Would you say same day, like maybe that afternoon would be a good one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Same day's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I try to have folks do it either later that day or the next day.
Yeah. No, that's next day is great too.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, we're like any kind of purposeful integration effort is really beneficial. And so, yeah, there's the ideal, but quite frankly, anybody that is going to see their therapist who is well aware that they're receiving psychedelic assisted therapy and knows how to kind of work them through that, is going to be able to take that open soul and plant some really good stuff in there.
That's really cool.
So it's really important.
The cost prohibitive nature of ketamine right now is tricky, and what we're talking about is more of the controlled in the office, kind of a deeper, like ketamine experience, but not to sedation. We're not in that space. That's the anesthesia space, but certainly more than the nasal ketamine or the lozenges and lozenges or whatever folks are doing. Yeah. Okay, cool. I just think it's important to delineate that. And it is hard because the cost is pretty high. I mean, most folks are $250 to like $450 per session.
Well, and if you add, I mean, ideally, the way the research shows the best results from something like ketamine-assisted psychotherapy, is actually that it's a 3-hour session, right? It's an hour of prep, like with a therapist, hour of prep, hour on the medicine, hour of coming down and
processing,
right? That's actually the research is best.
Wow.
For that.
And that's going to be even more expensive.
Super expensive. Like who can actually afford that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that everything's so expensive because, it's way cheaper to go to somebody who you hear that, sits with mushrooms, like
sure.
And some people that do underground, mushroom sessions, like they're great, but a lot of people haven't been trained.
Right. And then that can be very challenging. And then you're not in as much of a professional environment and stuff.
Well, you're not.
That's tricky.
It's not as safe, right?
We at Voyage Clinics, we offer it really cost effectively, cheaper than anywhere else around.
You told me the price. I was really impressed.
Yeah. And then plus we do like the membership for all the medical management and follow up and all the other parts are just built in. Because it's not like you're going to do ketamine the rest of your life.
No.
It's just like, here's this initial package deal. But family medical doc having access to us the rest of your life is high five. And that's
rad.
Our price point is like, it's designed to be fiscally viable for folks for the long term because we like that, 20-year continuity thing. But the ketamine sessions, we try to bring those in as affordably as possible because it's so important. And then having awesome therapists like you who understand that stuff, I think is super clutch. And so I think this is just on the podcast, but we're going to do some cool things together.
We are. We really are.
We got some
super excited.
opportunities.
I'm super excited about some of the stuff we're going to be able to work on together.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, like the whole point, I mean, like these protective parts, right? These protectors, they are what form the ruts. They are the things that create these really rigid ruts that we find ourselves in, right? Whether it's an addiction or it's some natural reaction, my body reacting to any sort of perceived slight or rejection. That is a protective part coming in and screaming, this isn't okay, something's wrong, right? And so what psychedelic-assisted therapy can do is it allows those ruts to be gone for a little bit. So you actually get access to the exile. You actually get to work with the exile. And once the exile is free, those protective parts don't have to do the same role. They can protect you in new ways. It's super cool. Have you ever, you should read a book. It's called No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz.
It's
Dick Schwartz. It's so good.
What is it called?
It's called No Bad Parts.
No Bad Parts.
Yeah. And it talks all about this. And it's wild how real it is. These parts have their own personalities, just like Inside Out. Like they have their own personalities. They have their own ways of reacting to things, of dealing with things. They fight with each other about the way things should be done. Right. It's super cool.
That's so cool.
But back to why I use the bilateral stimulation in session for when I am doing trauma work is the bilateral stimulation actually does something similar to the psychedelics, is that it helps the protectors to stand down so that we can actually work with them. But
is it something that they're holding?
So I use the buzzers. They're the vibrating buzzers that go back and forth. I do have the light bar, but it's just a lot of people struggle with it, and people go plenty deep with the buzzers for me. So,
cool.
So yeah,
super interesting.
Yeah, it's super cool. And again, with EMDR, part of the issue is that those buzzers can get those protectors to stand down, but it's forcing them to stand down. It's not interacting with them. It's just saying, "Kate, F you, get out of the way. We're going to the trauma." Whereas with IFS, it's like acknowledging, "Hey, I recognize you. I recognize the important part that you play in my client. But I'm asking you," I almost appealing with these protective parts, like literally appealing with an addiction to grow and change and learn, right? Literally appealing with a managerial part to not worry so much about whatever, right? And so it's just the coolest thing. And yeah, like getting to work with people and you literally experience them looking lighter, like as they're leaving sessions sometimes,
Yeah.
because
they've unpacked, they've offloaded, it's gone. That's so cool. What a sacred, special space you get to work in.
It's the coolest thing ever.
Super cool. Helping people process trauma, fix trauma. What would you say to someone who it's packed away and they don't want to unpack it again? They've unpacked it a couple of times with therapists and haven't felt the resolve. It's like still messing with them. They're still, they're still processing the world in a clenchy, in the rut. They still have the rut. They still deeply believe, consciously or subconsciously, certain things about themselves. And they're like, I don't want to unpack this again.
So what is the question?
What would you say to that person? How would you approach them? Is it reasonable to go and try that again? Is ketamine the option? Is that the answer? Is it worth unpacking again? Or how many times do I have to unpack this in order to say that
that's the big question. I love the question. I really do, John. For me, it's always about is working through it. Well, it's actually a hard question for me to answer, because most people that I'm talking to are actively choosing to
they're ready.
It,
yeah.
right?
Most
because they're coming to me in session.
Right. Yep.
And they're coming to me in session because they're ready on some level. Even if they're not fully ready and I'm having to prepare them for that, they're at least kind of ready. But if I'm just talking to somebody in public and they kind of share a story like that. Yeah, I've worked on it. I've tried EMDR. It just ruined it, made things worse, whatever it is. Really, it's just, like encouraging them to keep working on themselves. Like, I don't care if you actually address your trauma. I just want you to grow. Right. And maybe the trauma, maybe what you faced is too big and too scary and That's fine. Like, you don't have to go busting down the door and forcing it out. You don't have to do that. There are other ways that you can grow. It just so happens that growing in those ways will almost always lead to you going back to working on the trauma. Sure. But like, it doesn't have to, right?
That's cool.
Like, if you're operating at 50% and you can get yourself operating at 65%, that's huge for somebody. That's huge. To have a 15% increase in ability and capability and happiness, that's huge. 65% doesn't sound great, but that's a great life for most people, you know? And so it really is about kind of honoring where people are, honoring people's journeys, while also appealing to just what we need to be doing as humans anyway, which is growing. Yeah.
Sometimes we have emotional intelligence blind spots. I've had these. I still have these, where you just don't know what you don't know.
Of course.
And you're not. And so my question in this space is, what are some signs and symptoms that I might be having or someone might be having? They've had some trauma in the past. They felt like they processed it reasonably, but are there certain things that might be signs and symptoms that they might still need to process a little bit more or work on that a little bit more?
I mean, there's an incredibly overly simplistic answer to that. And that is your body still getting dysregulated? Is your nervous system still getting dysregulated by the same things? You know? And if it is, then there's still some stuff to work through. Right.
I see autonomic dysregulation all the time, and it's almost always emotional. And folks are just stuck in fight or flight.
Oh, yeah.
They have.
Well, I mean, and that gets, again, we could do a whole separate podcast series about society and how like technology is like hurting us, you know, mentally and emotionally.
Can we peel that back just one step?
Yeah.
Speak to that. Like why?
Well, we're meant to know what's happening in our community, right? We're meant to know what's happening in our 10-mile radius as human beings, right? We're not meant to be worrying about what's happening in this moment on the other side of the earth, right? As compassionate and loving human beings, we do care, you know, like what's happening in war-torn areas, right? We do care, but like there's an overload of stress that we experience, right? Like we have enough stress in this 10-mile radius, right? We have enough stress in this 10-mile radius that we have to deal with. But when we're loading ourselves with the problems that are happening in Washington, D.C., or in London, or in Beijing, right? All of a sudden we're loading ourselves with problems that we can't actually do anything about.
Right.
And
triggering.
Yeah.
Triggering anger, fear.
100%.
Yeah. I remember I grew up in a
and on top of it is we have some really malignant power brokers who are leveraging that for power and money, right? Because rage is addictive.
Rage clicking.
Rage is addictive, right?
Yeah, so they make more money if they click on the rage.
Exactly.
No, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, no, it really is.
And then they algorithmically feed you more rage clicks.
And so we're literally poisoning ourselves all day, every day on social media. Like it is poison for the mind. It is poison for the mind.
You're talking just from a psychological standpoint. From a bioscience standpoint, the dopamine is also poisoning us and lowering our baseline dopamine levels.
Right.
But just from a psychological standpoint, I hadn't really thought of that. Like, I remember
we can actually do something about something that's happening in our 10-mile radius.
I like the way you framed that.
Right.
Most centenarians, the ones that live 100 and plus, they have a really close-knit community every day.
Life.
They have a small life.
They have a small existence, small life.
Yeah. Yes. And they live a long time and they're very content and happy, and they catch fish and they play ping pong and they do the things with their groups and that makes a lot of sense. I grew up in a small town, 800 people, that was like 250 miles away from big cities.
Sure. Yeah.
And the nearest big city, small city, was maybe 8,000 people, and it was 60 miles away.
Yeah.
And we had a close-knit community.
Yes.
We knew we played, we had softball, we had community barbecues, we had all these things, and it was a mining town. And I remember we got one of those satellite TVs, which cast us out into the world. And I remember sitting, I think I was just in high school, and I sat and watched like one of the news networks for a bit. And I listened to it all, and I'm like, I don't like the way I feel, but also that is not my reality. Yeah. It is not my reality. My reality looks a lot happier and brighter than that. Yes. And I don't ever want to watch that again. Yes, so I turned it off, and literally I very rarely watch the news.
What a beautiful blessing. What a beautiful gift to give yourself. Like I'm such a fan of like going back and cheering on and giving attaboys to old Jarom, you know, the Jarom that made certain decisions. Right. You should be so proud of younger John for making that decision, because he really helped you. He really did something really important for you.
I mean, it helped my whole perspective. Right. And I don't poison my brain with all the toxicity and stuff. That's super cool. I love live small. I love that. Yeah. Live small, connect to your community, be involved, and farmers markets, and say hi to people. And
to be fair to people, I think people are very earnest. Like, I think the people that are so worried about what's happening around the world are very earnest, right? Whether they're doing it in a healthy way or not, they're very earnest. They want good things to happen, whether they agree with other people or not, right? But again, and yeah, with the internet, we can have an influence in what happens in Beijing, right? Like we can. And so it has grown to the point where we can have influence. But the problem is that like our bodies, okay, I think this is a really important point. Our bodies haven't evolved beyond the frozen tundra. You know, what the hunter-gatherers were doing. That's still literally what our bodies are built to do, is to be hunter-gatherers, right? But our minds are being exposed to things that we're not meant to be exposed for another 100,000 years of evolution, right? And this happened in a 30-year period of time. So of course we're breaking. Of course mental health issues are skyrocketing. Of course things like neurodivergence are just skyrocketing, because we literally aren't evolved enough in our brains to be able to handle this, you know. But we've created a society which requires this, right?
That is such a good point.
And so like we're poisoning ourselves with the thing that we have convinced ourselves that we need to have.
And the neural programming that comes with that creates an attention deficit and
absolutely
all kinds of addiction.
So it really, it really bothers me when everybody's like, you know, we didn't have these problems back in my day. Of course we didn't. We didn't have these things back, you know, when we were in high school, we didn't have them. You know, we didn't have access to, you know, nonstop, you know, information about things that we really don't need to have information about. You know?
I want to speak to the hunter-gatherer space and the effects of hunter-gathering on our mental and emotional wellness.
Rad, I love that.
Because I have always been a hunter-gatherer. My dad, growing up, we were always hunting and fishing and doing things. And my mom was kind of an herbalist, so she would be like, hey, there's some yarrow and there's some stinging nettle. And so I learned to just be watchful of the world and the things around me, living small, gathering things and hunting things. I took a big hiatus from that. Med school, I dove into like the whole thing, the whole
the Western society thing.
Yes. Let's grind out science and all these very much left brain stuff. And as I've come back to some more hunter gathering in my later years, I forage for mushrooms a lot. We talked about this, and
so cool.
I love, and I'm looking for chanterelles and boletes and lobster mushrooms and matsutake and all kinds of fun things. I have noticed like an activation of brain cells that were dormant for years, and there's like intuition. And I heard a quote that hunter gathering, especially foraging, helps develop our intuition. And I just, that resonates with me because I notice that as I'm foraging in the wilderness, there's all kinds of intuition. Like I'll be walking by a place and be like, I don't know why I know this, but there's a mushroom here.
Yes.
And then I'll hoof around 100%. The area. Yep. There it is. Yep. Get it. And then go to the, I think epigenetics is a study of like the turning on of gene sequences as we do various things in our lives. And I think there's a genetic sequence that is dormant in us because we don't hunter gather as much, that is activated as we go out and we do those things. And it's healthy for us emotionally. Our intuition is higher. Our feeling, our empathy is higher. Sensitivity. That's
sensitivity.
Okay.
The problem with this is it turns down our sensitivity, right? It turns up the noise, which turns down our sensitivity. You know, I have an example about this. Like, I love hiking. I just absolutely love hiking. And I almost always will listen to music, right? Well, a few summers ago, I remember I was like, I was needing something different. You know, I needed to not have noise, right? And so I was like, I'm gonna stop hiking with music, right? I'm not gonna listen to anything. I'm just going to be, I'm not gonna have anything in here. I'm not gonna be listening to anything. I'm gonna be in nature. And I remember walking along the trail, and all of a sudden I smelled this really sweet smell, and I was like, oh, that's such a nostalgic smell. I love that smell. And then I walked a little bit further and I walked into this huge field of stinging nettle.
Boom.
I never knew that I loved the smell of stinging nettle. I never knew that was stinging nettle. I had never connected it. I had to be present enough, to be sensitive enough to place those two things together, right? And so now when I smell it, I'm like, oh. And in many ways, I mean, that smell, like evolutionarily speaking, it's a warning for us, right? Hey, be careful where you step here, right? But how fun that it can be a warning and something that's pleasant, right? That's so cool. So I think that epigenetically speaking, it really is a sensitivity thing. When we are tuned into our moment, when we're tuned into our environment, we're creative, we're problem solving. We are curious. We're incredibly curious, right? You know, how many times have you walked by mushrooms and had that experience? But you had that experience because some or other time earlier in your life, you happened to be curious, and there was enough space within you that you could like investigate that curiosity, you know. And what does that do to us? That teaches us something that even if you don't know what's happening, like in the cognitive realm, our bodies are attuned and can recognize the circumstances in which, oh, there might be a mushroom under that plant, you know. And it's like, it's the coolest thing ever. And it's so healthy.
There's done lots of research with folks that spend time in nature. They call it nature medicine, of course.
I love what they call it what they call it in Asia. They call it forest bathing.
Yeah, Shinrin-yoku. I love that. I love it. But folks who spend time in nature, they've done studies that it decreases heart attacks, strokes, stress, like all kinds of things. I love this comment on how it enhances our sensitivity and our intuition. There's no way around it. We're in the technological advancement phase, and it is skyrocketing, and we're like in an exponential growth curve in all tech, and that's cool. But it's also not cool, and so we have to bring cognition around it, and then how do we get back to our roots? Let's go forage. Let's go spend time in nature. Let's spend vacations from our phones. Let's make sure we turn them off. We have boundaries to their desensitizing our lives.
Let me ask you a question. And you've got a better answer to this question than 99% of Americans, because you forage, because you do that. how often are you in direct contact with the earth without something man-made between you and the earth?
When I'm foraging?
No, I'm just in general. That is a general question for everybody.
Yeah.
How often are we actually in contact with the earth, skin on earth, without something man-made being between us? It's not enough. It's not enough.
So I grew up on dirt roads.
Yes.
And it was desert, and there was no manicured anything. And I would go out my yard, and I was often barefoot, but sometimes not. But we were always in contact with the earth.
Exactly.
And then I went to UNLV for undergrad, and I'm like, where is the earth in this town?
Exactly.
There is no earth. Yeah. And I felt a disconnection. I wrote a song about it. That's when I used to write songs. I had that part of my brain working, and now it's gone.
Get back to that.
I got to get back.
Totally got to get back to that.
But I felt disconnected.
Bless the world with your gifts, man. Come on.
Yeah. I remember the song. It was disconnected. I was like, there's asphalt in my way, asphalt every day. That was some of the phrases of it. And, yeah, I think connecting to the earth and to the ground. And I used to go home just to do that, to drink good water, breathe good air, and just lay on the
100%.
dirt. Like it was real.
Well, like even when you're at a park, you take a blanket and you lay it down over the grass. Like what a disservice is that? And I get it. Like grass can be a little bit itchy and stuff like that. But like we've lost contact with what makes us human. Well, I mean, this is causing us to lose contact with what allows us to be most human, right? And yeah, our connection with the earth, our connection with, because the more connected we are with the earth, the more connected we are with ourselves, the more connected we are with our neighbors, the more connected we are with the world around us, you know? But like, we don't even have connection with the thing that we're literally on our entire lives.
Yeah.
Right. And it hurts us. It hurts us mentally. It hurts us emotionally. It hurts us physically. You know.
Thanks for validating my thoughts on that, because I always have felt that, but I hadn't ever put it to words.
No, it's real. Like our need to be in nature, our need to be in contact with nature, and you know, it's so funny because they make fun of tree huggers, but what a beautiful thing to hug a tree. Like, talk about an energy exchange. What a beautiful energy exchange, you know?
I'm so goofy, but I'm like, hey kids, come over here. And I would be like, come on, get in there. Let's just, and we just put our arms around this tree, and I'd just be like, you guys feel that? You just wait for it. And then they're like, no, Dad, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, it's there. Just wait and say hi. And we're just kind of goofy, but I legit.
Well, the funny thing is that there's literally a nervous system regulation happening. That you literally do feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rad.
You literally do feel it because it calms your nervous system.
Yeah. Jaron, thanks for being my guest today.
This is rad.
This was so fun.
This is really fun. Jaron.
Tell us about your practice. Tell us a name. Tell our guests how to get a hold of you.
So it's called Living Your Best Life Therapy. LivingYourBestLifeTherapy.com. You can go to the website. I'm also on Psychology Today. Jarom Ball, JAROM BALL. And then
thank you.
Or they can find me through you.
For sure. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and wisdom and insights. I appreciate your time. Thank you. This was fun. To our listeners, guys, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe to all the things if you want to, or you can just turn off your phone and do none of that stuff. That's great.
Right? Turn it off. Go out and touch the earth. Love you guys. See ya.